Visit AshleyFurnitureHomestore.com.
Thunderstorms hit Houston and more rain could be on the way.
An HPD officer is laid to rest as we uncover more about the man who police say killed him.
You'll see what we've learned about his ties to a violent gang.
And why did the doctor at Michael Jackson's side wait 30 minutes to call 911?
We have his explanation.
First in HD. 11 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Lucy Noland.
And I'm Greg Hurst. Thanks for joining us.
All right, so how do you spell relief?
Well, for many in our area, it was R-A-I-N.
The sky finally opened up and the rain came for many of us. In some parts of our area, it rained, and it rained hard.
It gave us some relief. The ground got a much-needed drink, and it cooled us off for a while. But we got so much rain so fast, like here in South Houston, it also caused some trouble.
The power went out for about 26,000 CenterPoint customers in our area, and the air traffic was all but stopped at the big airport with delays up to an hour and a half.
So is it over, or is there more on the way for your commute tomorrow? Chief Meteorologist Gene Norman is manning the Weather Center. Gene?
Yeah, we probably won't see any rain in the morning, but let me show you how these storms are developed throughout our evening tonight. We've been watching this boundary that drifted in from the north, and it really erupted just after 7 o'clock. All this red here, the heavy downpours, the white dots you see, that's all the lightning that was going on throughout the evening. Most of the storms drifted to the east side of town, some on the west side of town, pretty much from 610 off to the west, heading toward Katy, and then there were some more storms down along the Southwest Freeway and even down along the Gulf Freeway. Things are quieting down in the city right now, but there's still some rain on HD Doppler in sections of Montgomery County. These storms are dying too, but we could see another round of storms tomorrow. This boundary laying over us and being activated by the heat will likely touch off another round of storms. Before the rain, it was another scorcher for us as we hit temperatures of over 100 degrees, setting records it is at Hobby, at Bush Intercontinental Airport, and up in College Station. Coming up, I'll show you our chances for rain, when we'll likely see it tomorrow, and whether or not this heat will continue as well. The forecast in a few minutes.
All right, sounds good, Gene. Tonight's rain is too little too late for Houston's Public Works Department. The ground has become so dry, water mains across Houston are bursting faster than crews can repair them. And we're not talking one or two here. We are talking 200 broken right now. That's twice as many as on a normal day. The city has brought in private contractors to help keep up with repairs.
Late today, the Woodlands initiated mandatory water restrictions. Residents can now only water their lawns no more than 2 days per week. Those caught watering more face a $200 fine. Conroe has also issued mandatory water restrictions, and many more communities are asking residents to voluntarily conserve water. We will continue to keep a close eye on the weather situation. Watch 11 News this morning, tomorrow starting at 5 for the latest.
Tonight we're learning more about the man accused of killing Houston police officer Henry Canales. But today the focus was on the undercover officer. His family laid him to rest this morning. The investigation into his death continues, and now 11 News has learned that the suspect, who also died, has ties to a dangerous gang. Reporter Jeff McShann has a story you will only see on 11 News.
On the day Officer Henry Canales was laid to rest, 11 News has uncovered even more disturbing information about the man who killed him. After firing the fatal shot, the suspect, identified as Roberto Carrillo, was immediately shot and killed by police, and his family insisted the next day that Carrillo was an innocent man.
I don't know what happened there, but I say 100% he's innocent. He's working so hard. Don't be representing him like he's bad, because he's not.
But the evidence against Carrillo continues to pile up. 11 News has learned he's been linked to another murder that happened on November 2nd in Lexington County, South Carolina. 3 MS-13 gang members from Houston have been charged in a murder-for-hire plot. 2 of the suspects, Joshua Benitez and Martin Frias-Terran, were arrested in Houston. But one, Pedroza Carrillo, Roberto's brother, is still on the run. Police sources tell 11 News he has fled to Mexico, and there is some evidence tonight that Roberto Carrillo was providing him money to help him escape and hide.
You didn't find no serial number, right?
Over the weekend, HPD and Harris County detectives executed a search warrant on Roberto Carrillo's home and found hundreds of stolen appliances, weed eaters, chainsaws, and generators. Carrillo, investigators say, was in the business of buying and selling stolen property. Police needed 5 trucks and trailers to haul away all of the merchandise. Sources tell us tonight Carrillo sold some of his stolen property at this large flea market in the 8900 block of Airline. Neighbors say Carrillo also held garage sales. HPD's Burglary and Theft Division says some of the items recovered from Carrillo's home and the home of the other 2 suspects have already been traced back to thefts in Bastrop, Huntsville, Conroe, and Tomball. And the gun used to kill Canales was taken in a home burglary in the Heights. Jeff McShann, 11 News.
It's impossible to recover from anything like this, but we hope the worst is over for the family of Officer Henry Canales. The veteran HPD officer was laid to rest today after a funeral attended by thousands. Police helicopters soared above in the missing man formation, while on the ground, a 21-gun salute echoed across the land. Inside Grace Community Church, a sea of blue filled the pews. Police officers from across the country came to pay their respects. And in a tearful eulogy, the officer's teenage daughter spoke of her father's sense of purpose.
My dad is my hero. He died doing something he loved. He served many years getting criminals off the streets to make this city a better place for you and me. He is with the Lord right now, watching over me. I love you so much, Daddy, and I will always be your princess.
Officer Canales is survived by a wife and 2 children. Stephanie, 17, her brother Henry Jr. is 15. Officer Canales is the 12th HPD officer to die in the line of duty in the past decade.
Right now, we're waiting on the results from the second autopsy on singer Michael Jackson. Earlier today, investigators spent several hours inside of Jackson's mansion. Part of the evidence confiscated, prescription medications. 11 News reporter Courtney Zabowski has more on what we learned today about Jackson's private doctor, Houston physician Conrad Murray. Courtney?
Lucy, Conrad Murray and Michael Jackson met about 3 years ago. It was at a Vegas hotel. Michael Jackson's son was sick, and through an acquaintance, Dr. Conrad Murray was called in to help. One of his local patients today told us he was always someone you could call for help.
I credit him and God. Okay?
Ruby Mosley believes Dr. Conrad Murray helped save her life.
If I had to rate Conrad Murray from a 1 to 100, I'd give him every bit of that 100 and plus.
The Houston woman says she saw the doctor in his office just last week, days before he would become known to the world as the doctor who was with Michael Jackson when he died.
His job was Michael Jackson.
Ed Chernoff is the cardiologist's attorney.
He's had death threats. The LAPD called us and asked if we wanted protection, not just for Dr. Murray.
Dr. Murray right now is in L.A. Investigators there have now questioned him twice. While his attorney says he can't say much, he did address rumors Murray gave the pop icon the painkiller Demerol.
If the autopsy results show that in his system, it's going to be a mystery and a surprise to Dr. Murray. Let me put it that way.
Through Murray's other attorney tonight, we learned that it took up to 30 minutes for the doctor to call paramedics after the singer was found nearly lifeless in his rented mansion. The attorney says Jackson's room did not have a telephone and that Dr. Murray did not know Jackson's address to give to the 911 dispatcher. When paramedics were called, they arrived within 3 minutes. Murray rode with him to the hospital and met his family.
Dr. Murray was available to the family. He spoke to LaToya. He spoke to Jermaine. He was there for Mrs. Jackson.
And this attorney says he will be there for his Houston patients. He has ties to this community, and he will continue to keep his practice here open. A spokesperson for Conrad Murray's attorneys tells us that he will stay in L.A. just in case investigators have any more questions for him. His attorneys made it very clear again that he is not a suspect but a witness of the death of Michael Jackson. We're live tonight near downtown. I'm Courtney Zabowski, 11 News.
The 11 News defenders tracked down a man seniors say stole their money.
Hey, the state of Texas says you owe a lot of people a lot of money.
You see what happens when the defenders finally track him down.
Troubled Texas billionaire Alan Stanford heads to court again. But is a judge ready to let him walk out until his trial begins?
And, wrecked out.
And we'll show you the dramatic end to a police chase on a Texas highway.
The vehicle is slowly going to
the king of pop, a sudden death. 11 News was first in the world to reveal a Houston connection.
Dr. Conrad Murray was with Jackson at the time of his death.
Dr. Murray has seen patients right here.
With investigative reporting digging deeper.
The car had Texas plates.
This is the address where that BMW is registered.
And breaking new developments before anyone else. A source trusted by news organizations worldwide. For the best continuing coverage of the investigation into Michael Jackson's death, stay with 11 News.
Academy Sports.
A federal judge in Houston says he'll decide tomorrow whether to let R. Alan Stanford out on bail.
Take a look at this picture. We have absolutely no idea why he's smiling, but there he is, grinning from ear to ear as he was transferred from the court back to jail. Handcuffs and shackles, trying to make us believe there's no problem, but clearly there is. He's accused of running a $7 billion Ponzi scheme. Prosecutors have spent days trying to convince the judge that Stanford is a flight risk with access to millions of dollars. Stanford denies that. In fact, although he used to be one of the richest men in the state, he claims he's flat broke.
We're also following the largest financial theft ever committed by a single person. Bernie Madoff will spend the rest of his life in prison. Today, a federal judge sentenced the 71-year-old to 150 years behind bars. Madoff admits he ran the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, totaling more than $65 billion.
Scores of Texans say they lost a chunk of their retirement and savings to another scam artist.
He was selling peace of mind, prepaid funeral and cremation services. His clients, those who wanted their affairs in order in their final days. Right now, you'll see what happens when the 11 News Defender's Jeremy Rogalski tracked him down. Jeremy, what you got?
Lucy and Greg, the prepaid funeral industry is booming. Right now, 800,000 Texans hold contracts worth some $3 billion. And state regulators say it's an industry ripe for fraud because customers are often the most vulnerable, the elderly.
I don't know. Who can you trust in this world now?
It's a question that comes...
Don't trust nobody.
...with a painful answer for Brian and Sonia Knowlton, who lost a chunk of their retirement savings.
It's evil.
To who they call a scam artist.
He talked a really good game. I mean, he was very convincing.
He is Larry Payette, convincing, the couple says, and selling them peace of mind for when their final days come.
It seemed like it was on the up and up.
So they signed up, paying $3,400 for cremation services. And from the official-looking paperwork to these photo ID cards...
It all looked good.
But looks can be deceiving.
He's told us that he's a reverend in the church.
Turns out part of the sales pitch to the Knowltons and this couple was that Payette was a holy man. Dorothy and Richard Simzik say that made them more trusting. And they, too, signed a $3,400 prepaid cremation contract.
You think someone, a minister, would be truthful and, wouldn't be trying to gyp somebody.
So what happened? Well, the state of Texas says Payette, who owned Dignified Affordable Funerals and Cremation, took the money and ran. The business is now closed, empty inside, and it was a lot of money from a lot of elderly Texans on fixed incomes.
In fact, the Texas Department of Banking, which regulates prepaid funeral and cremation contracts, has identified at least 124 victims who shelled out anywhere from $1,500 to more than $17,000 to Dignified and got nothing in return. Total loss, more than $300,000.
I think it's deplorable.
The banking department's Russell Reese describes how it all went down.
And I equate it to a Ponzi scheme.
A scheme in which early cremation contracts were paid for with funds from customers who signed up later on. But when it came time to pay for those cremations,
he did not have the funds to take care of those consumers. Therefore, it all kind of blows up on him.
What's more, state auditors say Dignified was operating without a permit. And that's critical because if it had been, the state could tap into a restitution fund set up to repay customers should a company go under. But in this case,
without a permit, the consumers that have prepaid, I'm unable to protect those as we would with a licensed permit holder.
The banking commissioner is taking legal action against the so-called reverend and his company to recoup that $329,000 in restitution plus another $248,000 in civil penalties. But at a recently scheduled hearing, Payette was a no-show. And
do you know where he is?
No, sir, I do not.
I'm Jeremy Rogalski with Channel 11 News. But we were able to catch up with Payette getting a haircut one day.
Hey, the state of Texas says you owe a lot of people a lot of money. We'd like to chat with you about that when it comes to prepaid funeral and cremation contracts.
Oh, I'm not in that business.
Oh, you were in that business, sir.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk to you.
The state of Texas says you owe $329,000. What do you have to say?
I don't want to talk to you.
Payette did send us a statement later saying the banking commission is wrong. 90% of client contracts were completed, and there were many happy customers because he gave them more than expected. Payette also blamed a business investor for the company's downfall.
It hurt.
But back to the alleged victims, there's this sinking realization they may never see a dime of their money again. Either way,
if we don't collect, I'd still like to see the guy in jail.
They need to put him under the jail.
Not in the jail.
Under it.
And what would they tell Payette himself?
I'm not allowed to say that on TV.
That bad?
That bad. Seriously, that bad.
You have nothing to say for yourself?
Nothing. Nothing.
You took all this money and...
You need to talk to my attorney, okay? Just leave it alone. I'm finished, okay? Thank you.
Well, Payette later told us that attorney wouldn't work on a contingency basis and therefore didn't represent him. Payette then asked us if we could recommend him a lawyer. Meantime, how can you protect yourself? Well, any legitimate company must use this state-authorized contract to sell prepaid funerals. It includes a space for the company's permit number. And you can check up to see if that number is legit by calling the Texas Department of Banking. Here's that number, 877-276-5554. I'm Jeremy Rogowski, 11 News Defenders.
Well, this could go down as the hottest June ever, and no wonder. We've had 7 straight days in a row with a temperature over 100 degrees. That's never happened before. And we might make it tomorrow, but we also could see some showers and thunderstorms. And depending on when they develop, well, those storms may keep the temperatures from getting over 100 degrees. HD Doppler showing the last of tonight's rains dying down in western sections of Montgomery County. Don't see a whole lot left in the storms that were in Fort Bend County, but it was a nice, refreshing change. Some heavy downpours, and we could see some of that again tomorrow. But let me show you how the storms develop. A time lapse from our HD WeatherBug camera here at the KHOU studios just before 7 o'clock. You can kind of see the beginnings of clouds here on the left-hand side of your screen. Watch as I put it into motion and watch as those clouds get closer to downtown, and then the rains begin just after 7 o'clock. And for some places, it was a good hour to almost hour and a half of heavy downpours and also a tremendous light show across the area. On the WeatherBug network, we did pick up at least 2 inches of rain in one of our western sensors in the Lakeside Village neighborhood. And I'm going to show you that in just a second here as we go to that graphic, hopefully on the west side of town, the left-hand side of your screen. Well, it just is not coming up for me tonight. Well, there it is. And then, of course, it disappeared. But we did have some heavy amounts of rain. And right now, temperatures are in the upper 80s and upper 80s and even some low 70s reported where the rain has fallen. Now for tomorrow, Super Microcast computer model paints a picture of showers and thunderstorms breaking out right around 3 o'clock, right over downtown as a matter of fact, and they could linger for an hour or two. So we could have some heavy downpours during the afternoon, so take that umbrella with you because storms are likely during tomorrow. Where are they all coming from? Well, they started this morning along the Red River Valley. These are some thunderstorms which actually rotated around the area of high pressure and then actually pushed down a little stationary boundary. This is a good focusing mechanism for storms to develop. Once you heat that boundary, you're going to get storms, and that's what we're likely to see during the daytime tomorrow. So again, we're in for a good deal of rain after we start out warm and muggy. 78 early on. We probably could see some temperatures get down to the low 70s, especially in places where it has rained overnight. And then tomorrow, 98. We might stay shy of 100 degrees tomorrow if the storms get going in the early afternoon as we're expecting, and we're looking at about a 30% coverage of showers and thunderstorms. And because of those clouds and because of the chances of rain, we may not get to 100 degrees in a lot of places. 90 in Liberty, rather 99 Liberty, 90 degrees down on Galveston Island. So on a scale of 1 to 10, the Norman number for tomorrow is pretty good, out of 7. Not too bad because we have that chance of rain. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, the more chances of rain we have, we need to move the Norman number up. The 5-day forecast shows we got another chance of showers on Wednesday. Then we'll heat back up on Thursday, and then heading into the big holiday weekend, we could also see a couple late-day showers and thunderstorms. You know, I had a viewer email me and said, you know, you're talking about all this heat. The last time we had a June this hot was 1980. What happened with hurricane season that year? Well, we had Hurricane Allen down in Brownsville, and we also had a tropical storm in the Houston area.
Well, it was so hot I decided to take a hit for the team. I washed the car yesterday, so now all is well.
That's why we got
exactly.
Now we know.
Yeah. Thanks, Gene.
So Dallas police chased this guy for more than an hour, but it took another driver just seconds to stop him.
We're going to tell you why the man was running from the law next on 11 News.
Looking to find the right car for you? Go to KHOU.com and click on Cars.com.
Breaking news now from overseas, where a passenger plane has just crashed into the Indian Ocean. The Yemeni Airways plane was en route to the island of Comoros. It was coming from Yemen, and reports are that most of those on the plane were from Paris. No word on how many were on board. This was an Airbus 310 capable of carrying 220 passengers.
For the first time in years, Iraqi security forces are in charge of all the major cities in the country.
U.S. troops handed over control of Baghdad and other major cities today. It's a huge step toward ending the U.S. combat role in that country. Some Iraqis celebrated today's move. Iraq's prime minister declared today as National Sovereignty Day.
A construction worker in San Antonio is in critical condition with third-degree burns over much of his body. He accidentally cut through a natural gas pipeline, triggering what you see right there, just a huge explosion. Many nearby residents had to flee from their homes. Some have no power because the explosion melted overhead power lines.
The fugitive who crashed earlier today during a police chase in Dallas is in critical condition tonight. Shane Michael led officers on an hour-and-a-half-long chase before running a red light and then, bam, getting creamed. Firefighters had to use the jaws of life to pry open the car and get him out of the wreckage. Before the crash, it looked as if the chase was going to have a different ending. Michael lost control here, flew off the pavement, but somehow managed to steer his car back onto the highway after driving through the grass. Michael had been pulled over for a traffic violation, but police soon learned he had felony warrants out for his arrest, and that's when he made a run for it.
Yao's foot injury could be devastating for the Rockets.
Plus, another big guy, a Houston native, had the right stuff for the Rays. Butch is up next with sports.
The Rockets are hoping Yao Ming will be cleared for takeoff, but right now, the big guy and the team are stuck in a holding pattern. Good evening, everyone. I'm Butch Alcindor. After 8 weeks in a walking booth, the Rockets were hoping Yao Ming would be healthy, wealthy, and wise. Well, in this case, 2 out of 3 is pretty bad. Yao broke a bone in his left foot during Game 3 of their playoff series versus the Lakers. Today, team Dr. Tom Clanton told the Houston Chronicle the injury has the potential for him to miss all of next season and could be career-threatening. The Rockets declined comment on the situation. Instead, they are in limbo as Yao seeks a second and possibly a third opinion before deciding what the best course of action might be. His teammates and the doctors thought the bone would have healed by now. That was obvious when Carl Landry made these comments on Sunday.
Last year, Yao got hurt. The year before that, he got hurt. And he's always did a great job of rehabbing and bouncing back. You know, Yao, he's going to go 110% in the training room or doing his rehab. He's going to give it everything he has to get back on the court.
In the majors, the Astros opened their 7-game road trip in San Diego with their ace Roy Oswalt taking on the Padres. It was scoreless in the 4th when Roy O uncorked a wild pitch with the bases loaded. David Eckstein came in to score, and it was 1-0 Padres. But in the 5th, Pudge got it back. Unloading for this solo shot right here to straightaway center field. Right now, the Astros have reclaimed the lead in the 6th. They are leading the Padres, an updated score 3-1 in the 6th. Meanwhile, Astros right-hander Brandon Backey rejected an assignment to AAA Round Rock, so the team placed him on waivers. This means he will likely become a free agent and still collect all of his $1.5 million salary. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays have at least 5 players with Houston ties. And tonight, that connection led to a victory over the Blue Jays. We start with former Jeff Davis star Carl Crawford. crushing one, smashing this line drive for a 2-run homer to right. That would give big 6'9", 265-pound Jeff Neiman the lead. Neiman caught Scutero looking as the former Rice and Lamar High School standout picked up the win 4-1 over the Blue Jays. And it was a good day for the Americans at Wimbledon. 6-seeded Andy Roddick served up 24 aces, topping Tomas Berdych in 3 sets. Also, number 3 Venus Williams won her match when Anna Ivanovic quit with a sore left thigh muscle. She was trailing 6-1 and Love won. And Serena won her match, keeping the Williams sisters on a collision course for the final. Of course, the big news, Yao Ming's situation still up in the air right now. The Rockets are in limbo, but they are still hoping for the best, and maybe that the big guy not only will be able to play next year, but his career won't be over.
Got to get that worked out.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Butch.
Different type of rockets now. How about stuff with red glare shining on Houston? How the city is preparing for the 4th of July. Next.
We're less than a week away from the 4th of July, and if you drive by Allen Parkway, you can already see the transformation taking place for this year's spectacular celebration. This year's Freedom Over Texas Grand Act will be country star Clay Walker.
And after that, the fireworks will fly. The show is one of the largest land-based fireworks shows in the country. And best of all, the price is perfect. It's free. For a complete schedule of fun family activities, it's easy. Head to our website, KHOU.com. And Gene, looking ahead, looking okay?
Might see some thunderstorms. We'll see if we can keep away from the fireworks.
All right.
Clay's a local guy, always puts on a good show.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us.
We're back here tomorrow. See you then. Late show's coming up next. Sleep time.